So hi again. Apologies for the previous video. Unfortunately, the computer stopped working, so there was no sound, so we had to change the computer. Yeah. My name is Anastasia. I'm going to tell you about education abroad, and from the registration forms, we saw that there are people who are interested in masters and bachelors, so I'll be talking a little bit about both. But this is a general webinar, so it's not too specific. And because of that, if you do have any questions, please do email us. And all of our contact details will be at the end of this video. And also we will add them after I'm finished doing the whole webinar, we will add them also in the description box. And all of you should have received an email with the new link. And I do want to point out that I'm sitting in a more like open space, so sometimes you'll hear maybe a door opening or closing. So again, apologies for that. But yeah, let's start. So I would also like to mention that the reason I'm doing this presentation is because I studied abroad, and now I live in Poland, but I'm not Polish. So I will also maybe add a little bit of my own experience into this kind of webinar while telling you how it works studying abroad. Okay, so now I need to share my screen with you guys. Share and okay, so Study Abroad, Student Financial Support Fund, and that's us. You probably saw that in the background as well. Was started or established in 2005. And basically the fund is for motivated students who want to study abroad. And we help with basically everything. And also we offer our own scholarship. So the scholarship, So the scholarship, there are kind of three scholarships, but it's one. As in, there's only one amount you can get, but it can be either number 1, 2, or 3. So this depends on how many people apply each year. Like, financial backing do we get? I would say most of the time everyone gets it. And the main thing that we would need to see for this is the personal statement or motivation letter. If you don't know what it is, I will be talking about it in a little bit. But yeah, so we only kind of need to see that. And also there's a very small application form to fill out. Most people do get this scholarship, and this is like your first money. You don't have to pay it back to us. It's a scholarship, so you get it, it's yours. And usually students use it to either, pay for their accommodation or pay for like travel, transport, or anything else. But this scholarship is for students who are applying to start their bachelor or their master's. If you are already studying, you are not able to apply for this for the studies you're doing at the moment. But also we provide loads of help with like the financial issues of studies. So we send you information about how to finance your studies in different countries that we cooperate with. So what do we do? We offer free consultations and also free help in terms of application to universities abroad. And there are, let's say, certain countries that we work with and we do not work with. But our help is completely free of charge. So the help would include, the application process, your personal statement, reference letter, any sort of financial issues. So for example, if you need to find out, how to pay for your studies or how to apply for a scholarship, we can help you with that. Also, I've even had people ask me about like taxes because they're students and they were not really sure how does it work if you're studying. How do you, do you pay taxes? Do you not pay taxes? So I was helping them with that. So yeah, as I said, all of our help is free of charge, so you just need to get in touch with us. You can either come to our office, but since you guys are from Kraków, so not that close, we can always have a free Skype consultation. And yeah, or a phone consultation if you don't have Skype. So So why do people actually go study abroad? There are a couple of reasons, and let's say the most popular ones you see right now in front of you. When I mean learn language, it's more of two reasons in one. So you will improve your language skills first of all, because you will be studying in another language, and you will be living in an environment where you will have to use those language skills on a daily basis. But also, a lot of those universities, they offer free language lessons. So as a student, you can start learning a new language completely free of charge. Then we have multiculturalism. You will be in a very kind of mixed, society, environment. You'll meet different people from different backgrounds. And that is a very positive thing, because not only it opens, your eyes on what's happening in the world, but also this makes you more adaptable. And that is very important when applying for jobs these days, because you will be working with different people from, different places, different countries, and you have to be tolerant, you have to adapt to them. So this is one of the big factors. You have opportunity to travel. So for example, I studied in England, and I did travel quite a bit across England. And if I didn't live there, I wouldn't really go to places like Bath or Portsmouth or Bournemouth. I wouldn't even know what those places are. But I went there, and it was a very good experience. And for example, even Oxford, I went to see like the city, and it was completely different from what I imagined. I was a little bit underwhelmed by everything that I saw, because in my head it looked different. But yeah, plus while I was living in England, I also managed to find some very cheap tickets to different places like Paris, Spain. To Spain, I even managed to find a ticket for like £5 one way with no luggage or anything, but still, it's £5 for a plane ticket. Yeah, so then we have the choice of specialities. So especially in England, you have a very big variety of subjects you could study at university. And a lot of those subjects you don't have or see in other countries, or they don't teach them in English in those countries. So I think that is a very kind of important reason to go study abroad. And that was one of my reasons, because I'm from quite a small country, and the things we can study were quite limited. And I was interested in something more creative, but a little bit more practical. So I studied media, but studying that in my home country would be, first of all, a bit difficult because the course is so small. Second of all, we only have like 3 state channels, and the rest of it is, from different countries like Germany, Finland, I don't know. So can't really do anything there. So that is also why I moved. And for some people, for example, they want to study fashion, but they can't actually make anything. So they're not the people who create the dresses, but they're super interested. They're like passionate about it. And you might think, oh, but there's nothing for me to study. There's courses like, fashion management, fashion journalism, PR. People who like sports, there's like sports management, even football management. So there's something for everyone. And you'll gain an international qualification, which will be recognized all over the world. And that means, if you're going to go study somewhere or you're going to move to another country to work, your paper will be, as in your diploma, will always be recognized. And so the 3 last points that you see on the slide is that each year there's like 200,000 students going to UK to study. And honestly, the numbers are not getting any smaller. UK is a very popular destination for higher education studies because of the variety of courses and all the opportunities that those qualifications bring with them. Netherlands is the second country in terms of like popularity, mostly because they were the first country to introduce higher education in English, while not being an English country. Plus, it's one of the cheapest. So I will explain how the payment works there, but you will see that it is quite cheap considering like how much it's in other countries. The education in Denmark is free of charge, which is quite nice, but I always remind people that the living costs are a lot higher there. So you do have to remember that. And even though everyone speaks English in that country, you also have to remember that support yourself, getting a job is not as easy as it would be in UK. So if you're like prepared, to go and find a job and you're like willing to live there, that's your goal, sure. But if you want it to be a little bit more easier, then probably UK would be the best place for you. Some of the universities we have worked in the past and we are still in contact. And as you can see, they're from different places. Here are some more. And so here we can see some faculties that cannot be found in Poland. Just as an example, to give you an idea of even that exist in other countries and universities, like motorsport engineering, fashion management, football management, beauty promotion, adventure management. Adventure management is actually quite an interesting course. This is for people adventure and a little bit more extreme sports. You would be qualified as a snowboard instructor. You would go climb, mountain climbing and everything, and they would teach you how to, prepare those trips, how to promote those trips, and also you'd have to go and take part of those trips because you do need to know what you're promoting. Digital and social media, brewing and distilling, that's for people who like beer and other types of alcoholic drinks. Casino management, photojournalism, spa management, I think, fashion management, football management, or spa management. It's a very narrow course, as in if I'm going to study this, I can only work in one field or something like that. But in reality, not really. Even if you're going to do spa management, and for example, right now you're passionate about beauty, you want to open your own spa, but then after you finish this course, you've discovered something new that you're passionate about, you will still be able to go and work in another field because you will still have all the knowledge of management, but it's just they will teach you basing everything on spas. Me, a person who is anything to do with business, and all of that kind of bores me automatically. But if you do put the word fashion before it and you're going to start talking about different brands and magazines, I will get interested, I will remember, I will be very good at it. So for me, for example, fashion management would be the best course to study, and then I could go and work in a bank or something. Okay, so that was the previous slide was not supposed to be there. So this presentation was actually used for another presentation, and so here will be a couple of extra slides, and because I had to change the computer really quickly, I did not manage to hide all the slides because I had to use a pen drive for this. But nevertheless, so studying bachelor's in UK, the course duration is from about 3 to 4 years. So 3 years is an average bachelor, 4 years is called a sandwich course, which means you would be doing 1 year of placement as a work experience, internship, or you would go for 1 year and study abroad. And that's quite a good option because you will already graduate with experience. And then it will be easier to get a job. But also it depends. My course, for example, was 3 years, but we had 1 semester of work experience, but I kind of continued doing it a bit longer. So it works out for me. So it is possible to get a joint degree, which means you will study 2 subjects. Usually those subjects do have to be kind of related. So for example, psychology and criminology, business and public relations, for example. There are a couple of universities, I'll say a couple, where, for example, if you really want to do dance or, I don't know, painting, but your parents are pressuring you into studying biology, they would allow if you can prove that you can do both things equally well. And you don't have to worry. It's not like you're going to be overloaded with studies. It's not going to be like full-time 2 studies. It is constructed that way that it is like 1 course, but maybe like a couple of hours more, single degree. So yeah, you still have time to see your friends, get a part-time job, do all your coursework. In UK, you do have flexible study time, which means you'll have a lot of independent work. You don't have to be at the university itself as much. You'd have lectures about 3 times per week. Obviously, depending on your course, if you're doing something more scientific, you would be at the university a little bit more often. And yeah, after lectures, you have seminars, and basically then you're free, on paper at least. But you do have to do a lot of research work. You have to go, to the library, whatever your project is that you're working on. And there are different projects that you'll be working on at the same time. So you do have to manage that. You probably will be also writing some sort of essay. You have to go see your teacher, meet up with your group, do like lots of things that you have to do. But at the same time, it does teach you time management, which is quite important. And it does teach you a lot of kind of independence. And you gain a lot of skills that they're called transferable skills that you can later on use in life. And also this allows you to get a part-time job if you are interested in supporting yourself. Or if you just want extra cash to, go out and spend it on whatever you want to spend it on. So applying to UK for bachelor's, the first deadline was 15th of January. So you don't have to worry about it if you're still planning to apply. The second deadline is 30th of June. The main difference is that the people who applied before 15th of January, they will get their answers before the people who applied after. But again, don't worry, because when you're applying to UK, you have up to 5 choices. And after you get all your answers, but if you're still at school, you can only get conditional answers, which means you will have to meet the conditions. And from the 5 conditional answers, you narrow it down to 2. And then you have a firm choice, which is the one you really want to go, and an insurance choice. So the uni you kind of still want to go, but that's like number 2. But basically, if you are applying after 15, it's just you'd still be getting your answers like in May and June. Well, people who applied before 15th, they will get all their answers before 4th of May. It's an online application. It's quite easy. Usually, me myself or like some of my colleagues, we will do it with you or for you, because then we know it's done correctly. And after that, you can check it out and ask any questions you want. But like I've studied in UK, lots of my colleagues did, and we've been doing this for a very long time. So your application form will be done correctly. You would need a personal statement. A personal statement is an essay, more or less, written by you, about you, for the university. So you would be describing yourself, like all your positive attributes. Why should the university, take you? Why would you be a perfect candidate for this course at this university? What are your plans, goals for the future? I don't know, what inspired you to study this? Usually we kind of give advice. I would send my own personal statement that I wrote a lot years ago. And then we also check them. We don't check for grammar because honestly, the UK universities, they are not going to check your grammar. As in, you do have to know how to write in English, but it's not going to be, if a comma is in the right place. But we do check the content, that it actually makes sense, because that's the most important thing for UK universities. They mostly look at the fact that you are, a student that has potential to do big things. You'll also need a teacher's recommendation letter. So your teacher would recommend you, but more from like an academic perspective, because they see you at school. Usually we advise to ask your English teacher, but if you're not in good relationships with that teacher, ask anyone else who can help you to translate it. Also, you need your predicted grades, which means, for example, that you're going to do 4 mature exams. And you kind of know that, it's going to be Polish, basic, Polish extended, math, basic, math, extended. and you know more or less what you're going to get. You know that's going to be between like 80 and 90, so the average should be, let's say, 85. Then we have to combine all those averages from every exam and divide by the number of the exams, and we get your predicted grade. And that kind of shows that you can meet the requirements of the university, but the personal statement is still more important. You need a language test, but that only comes after we send the application. So to send it, we need your personal statement, teacher's recommendation, and predicted grades. And some basic information, but that's not that important right now. Then after you send it, obviously you'll have to focus on your matura exams and getting a language test or certificate. Usually it's IELTS. Some people decide to do other language tests. They're also accepted. Most of them are, at least. And some universities have their own language test. That means if you really want to go to that specific university, you can and not pay for any language test. Only the university takes some payment, but usually it's very, very small. Also, some universities accept extended English matura exam as a language test, and usually has to be over 70%, and then they specify how much in the speaking and how much in the writing part. So bachelor student loan, I hope you guys have at least heard about it. So this is a loan for your first higher education from the British government. As you might have heard or seen, that per year, the courses in England cost around 9,250. That's the max, and the cheapest are 9,000. Yeah, so, and that's a lot of money. That's why the government has created a loan, and so you're basically borrowing, from the Queen. Let's say it that way. The loan is for maximum 4 years, so it would cover your bachelor if you're doing a sandwich course. If you already started your bachelor's here and you want to go to UK, usually I would recommend not kind of really mentioning your first year, because then your loan is only for 3 years. But obviously, if you want to be super honest and only have the loan for 3 years, that is up to you. And then you study, the money goes to the university, you don't touch it, you don't do anything with it. You just have to every year press a button that you're still at the university. Then you graduate, you have 2 years to go travel, I don't know, get a job, find yourself in this world. And then they kind of will inquire if you're able to pay it back. So to be able to pay it back, you have to earn more than £21,000 per year. And you would pay the 9% from anything that is above 21. So if you look at this kind of scheme here, if you're earning £25,000, so that is £4,000 more than 21,000. So from that, from the 4,000, take the 9% per year, that is around £360 per year. Divided by 12, so there's 12 months in a year, and you get more or less £30 per month. If any of you have ever been to UK, you know that £30 is not a big amount there. So you wouldn't really even notice like this amount going out of your bank account. The repayment period is 30 years. If you do not manage to pay it back in 30 years, the loan just gets cancelled, it gets completely erased, it does not exist. Also, I'd like to mention that this loan does not show up anywhere because this is from the government, it's not from the bank. It's like establishments have the right to get that information. Only if you tell like the bank or anyone, but they don't really care. And if you want to get a loan to buy a car or a flat, you can still do that. If at any point your salary drops below £21,000, your payments stop. So you can be sure that this will not really affect you that much. And if you're not able to pay, you're not paying it. If you decide to go, I don't know, to another country or come back to Poland, usually they take the average salary from, each country and they calculate from there. And yeah, also because this is from the government, like the conditions, that they don't really change because this is not a bank. They're not looking for like a profit here. They're mostly looking to get more people capable to work and who are capable to, you know, do things like engineering and like basically professions where you actually need an education and you need to think, and not only like craftsmen. Okay, so I do apologize, but I will have to press escape for a second. And we will go to masters now, because as I said, I had to quickly change the presentation. Unfortunately, I did not manage to open or unhide the slides. So just bear me, I don't know, go grab a drink or something while I do this. A little bit annoying, but what can we do now? Yep, so I'm not gonna actually open all the slides, or I'm not gonna close all the slides as well, because it's just gonna take loads and loads of time. Especially on this computer, which I'm not familiar with. And we're almost there. A couple more slides. This is very not a friendly computer. I have at least 3 slides to go to open. And yeah, so now that I did cover the bachelor application process, we are gonna go to masters, because I know some of you are interested in masters. Okay, so those don't count. Okay. So yeah, masters. So in England, masters is 1 year full-time. There are a couple that are 2 years. It's usually something like architecture or some sort of like very specific, where you have to get like qualified, or you have to pass extra like, you know, tests to work in that field. Part-time is usually 2 years. There are 2 start dates, September and January, so you can just choose when you want to start. Some universities even have courses starting in May. Is direct, so not through an online system, it goes directly to the university. Usually we take on kind of that aspect of this application process, because we would, you know, ask you for all your documents that are needed, and then we send them to the university, and we would be the middleman between you and the university. Even if you're studying will be studying bachelor's, we would still be like the middleman, so for you, this will be a stress-free kind of process. Again, there's a very wide choice of courses for masters, and the best thing is that you don't need to actually like have studied the course you're going to do as masters. Of course, if you want to do medicine or law, then yeah, you need to study it as bachelors. But for example, me, I studied media and culture, and for now I would like to continue in the field of like marketing or international relations, and I can do that in UK. I can't really do that in countries like Denmark or Netherlands, mainly because they're very specific that like if you start, you know, your education, you kind of have to continue it, because you have to have the modules to do masters in a certain field. And in the UK, you can also use your experience. So for example, I have quite a lot of experience in marketing and social media, so I can use that to get into a course related to that, even though I don't actually have any theoretical knowledge of it. And there's also a student loan from the government. The only thing that works a tiny bit differently. So let's quickly jump to the application process. So you would also need a personal statement. It can be a little bit longer than the bachelor one, because it is a direct application. You need 2 references. Usually we would say that you need 2 references from your lecturers at university. But if you have any sort of work experience that you would like to show, you can ask your employer for a reference as well. So it'll be, you know, employer and the lecturer. English language certificate. So even though I know a lot of you might be doing English at university and you're like getting grades and you're getting, you know, your B2, C1, It does depend on the university what they will ask for, because even though there are general requirements for students from you, every course is a little bit specific for every country. So if you are interested in anything, it's good for you to get in touch with us so we can get all the specific information and get back to you. You would need your university diploma. Obviously, when you'll be applying, if you're still doing your bachelor's, then you don't have your university diploma, and it's fine. You would just send it when you're ready. And the same with like bachelor's. I don't think the portfolio interview part was there. But if you're going to study something more creative, you will need a portfolio. And in most cases, you'll have an interview. I would say 99% cases, you have an interview. It doesn't matter what you're planning to study. And usually it's by phone. It's maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It's not a big thing. Okay, sorry. So the master's loan in the UK. So this is also from the British government. It's quite similar to the bachelor one. The difference is that this is up to £10,000. So that is the maximum you can take. And the prices, like the fees for the courses, can be quite different. So there are courses that are like £5,000 per year, and there are courses that are more than £10,000 per year. But you do have to remember that the full-time course is only 1 year. So let's say you're going to take a course that is £5,000. You can still take the whole amount of £10,000, and that will go directly to your account, and you would have to pay the university the £5,000. The remaining half you can use to pay for your accommodation. You can use it for anything you needed to use, basically. Yeah, so it's for full-time, part-time, and distance learning students, and you have to be under the age of 60, which I'm quite sure most of you are. You'd start paying it back again only 2 years after your graduation, and then you still need to start earning more than £21,000 per year. And basically same conditions as with bachelor's. You need to get more than £21,000. You pay the 9% difference. 30 years, and 30 years it gets cancelled. The only difference is it's only up to 7,000, and it goes directly to your account. So this is also quite a good opportunity, because if you're going to study something that requires a lot of lab time or something like that, like engineering, then you could spend the 5,000 on your living costs, and you would not really have to worry as much about having a shift every weekend at a place where you would have a part-time job, I'm assuming. Okay, so life in UK, for bachelor students, there's this thing called Erasmus. I do recommend taking it if you're in UK, because you do have a lot more financial support there. If you do it from Poland, then it's like about 4,000 euros. Oh, sorry, not 4,000. That's a lot. 400 euros per month, which you probably imagine is not that much if you're planning to spend, like, I don't know, 6 months in UK or a Scandinavian country or France. So that's why a lot of Polish students, they actually go to the Baltic states. And, they're not that different from Poland. But yeah, if you do it from UK, then you would have a lot more financial backing. There's lots of student societies and clubs. I don't know how you'd call them a club, I would think. So basically, you can join a society of people who like the same thing as you. It can be, some sort of sports, football, I don't know, baseball, whatever. A language group, if you want to meet people who are interested in the same language and, the culture. And there are clubs for people who like to paint, people, film lovers. There are even clubs like pizza eating society, beer drinking society, beer making society, Quidditch society. So Quidditch is the game from Harry Potter where they fly around on brooms. Basically, there's lots of different societies, so you can meet new people, make new friends, and if you don't have a society that you'd like to join, you can always create your own. Universities offer great sports facilities, like they're very, very good, and they're quite cheap for students. Like you can use everything that's there for like £100 per year. And you will not be able to find that kind of deal anywhere in UK, I promise you that. And if you do, that will be like only for the gym part. You will not be able to use everything else. Well, at university you would be able to. If you're interested in how the facilities work, you can go to our Facebook page, and I'm pretty sure there are a few pictures of, like, for example, Derby University and their sports facilities. Work opportunities, so like part-time and full-time. Also work experience. There are what they're called career centers or job centers at the university itself that help students to get part-time jobs to support themselves, full-time jobs if you need a full-time job, or if you're already graduated, and they also help you to get work experience if you need it. And usually they help you, like, how to construct your CV, how to behave in the interview. So there's quite a lot of support, and they can help you with honestly anything there at the university. So for example, if you want to rent a flat, but you're not sure about the landlord, or you're not sure the contract's like correct, or you are too kind of scared that they're gonna lie to you or something. Usually universities have like what they're called. Okay, I don't remember their exact name. It's estate agents, yes. Like their own estate agents who can check it for you and make sure that they're not trying to kind of lie to you. The landlords, I mean. So living costs can honestly be very different in UK. It depends on your budget. The cheapest halls of residence I did find was £79 per week. So that's including all the bills like water, gas, electricity, Wi-Fi, security. The most expensive one was £250 per week. And that was the one that you have your own kitchen and you have your own bathroom. And the cheaper one, that like for £79, you have to share the kitchen and the bathroom. I think you do have like a sink maybe in your room or something. So yeah, private residence, they are usually cheaper because, well, you don't have all the let's say commodities that you would have at the halls of residence. Usually you have to pay the bills only if you're renting a room. Then the bills are included, but that does make the price of the room go a little bit higher. Also, you'll be living with people either who you do not know. Some universities have like student flats, so they're kind of owned by the universities, but you live with random people from your university in one flat. Or you can live with your friends. But living in your first year of studies, especially if you're doing bachelor's, I would not really recommend living with friends because you could stay just with one group of people for the whole 3 years, and it might be a little bit, not very good for you because you will not be socializing with people from other places. You're not going to be expanding your language skills. Public transport, really prices depend on the place, so it can be £1, it can be £2.20. If you live in a smaller town, obviously your public transport costs will go down because either you don't even have to use them or you can just cycle. In London, it is a little bit impossible to just cycle everywhere because you probably know that it's quite big. Average price for coffee is around £2. This is just to kind of give you an idea of how much everyday thing costs there. And the cheapest city for students is Portsmouth. So if you are trying to get a good degree from a good university, but you don't want to spend too much money and you would like to support yourself, Portsmouth is the best place for you. They have a university there called University of Portsmouth. Quick example, I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't want to kind of bore you with all the information. So Bournemouth University, it's in Bournemouth. That's a resort town in UK. It's a very big touristy attraction in terms of UK tourism, like within UK. Also, it's a student city, so there's always something to do for students, and there's also always part-time jobs going around. This is the leading university for animation and visual effects, and also film and photography. So basically anything to do with image. And people who have studied animation and visual effects, they have worked in different movies. They have won Oscars for Avatar and some other like space movie, which I don't remember its name. But yeah, here are some movies that the students worked on, like Avatar, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Alice in Wonderland, Inception, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, and there's many, many more. Grand Theft Auto, Gravity. So yeah, they got the Oscar for Gravity and Avatar. Some pictures of Bournemouth. It's a very nice city. It is like a smaller city that has the sense of a bigger city. So there's everything is there. This, I thought you probably would recognize this place. It's been in lots of movies. But yes, this is in Bournemouth. University of Westminster, this is in London. It was the first polytechnic in UK, so they exist for a very long time. They were the first university, not actually university, but they were the first like place to have cinema, so they're basically the birthplace of British cinema. They were the first photographic studio in Europe, so they had it, and they were the first polytechnic to actually start teaching film and photography. So they're very good in subjects like media and communication, and also different television production, film production, art design, business management, architecture, computing, and everything, and obviously law, and everything that goes into those kind of subjects in the field, let's call it like that. And they have 4 campuses in the middle of London, so like very central around Oxford Street. This is actually next to Oxford Street. It's the street like going parallel to, across it. So Denmark. So there are no tuition fees, completely free of charge. The deadline for the application is 15th of March. If you want to start your studies in September. If you're okay with starting them in January, then the intake is a bit later. It's around September. Online application, and again, we help you with the whole thing. And I will explain in a second how the studies work there, but I will just mention that the courses do have work placement in them already, and you can get free Danish lessons. So in Denmark, you can either do the classical bachelor degree, 3.5 years there, or the more popular, let's say, kind of way is to do AP degree, which is 2 years with work experience. And already from there, you can go and work in different, you can work in business fields, management, IT, because this is considered to be like a proper degree. But if you still want a bachelor, then you can go into a top-up. So the top-up will be like an extra 1.5 years to make it full bachelor for you to get all the points. And you don't even have to do it in Denmark. You can go to any other country that has bachelor top-ups. So that would be still Denmark, UK, Netherlands, Poland, and any other country, but these I know for sure offer. So because Denmark is, well, it's not an English-speaking country, as in they do, all of them speak English there, but that's not their first language. The courses that you can study in English are limited. You can't study everything. So usually you can study the courses that are more like needed for their economy and their country. So like computer science, IT technology, multimedia design and communication, international sales and marketing management, European business management, tourism and hospitality. They do have like a scholarship or grant that you can get there. You will have to get a job before you apply for it, and you would need to have 43 hours per month, not less, not more. And after having a job and working 43 hours per month, you can apply and you get up to 800 euros per month. If at any point your hours drop, you would not receive this and you'd have to reapply and you start the process all over again. Okay, let's move on. Obviously, if you have questions, you can message, because this is a live transmission, so you can leave messages and at the same time my colleagues would reply to you. Yeah, so this was an example of a university. It's called International Business Academy, or IBA. Their programs are accredited by London South Bank University and Coventry University. So basically, the programs that they teach are accredited by those universities, which means you would be kind of studying, let's say, in a similar way, because if they are accredited by one university, the other kind of university has to, apply to some rules. But yeah, you can study things like business, marketing, finance, management, entrepreneurship, and design there. And they have existed for more than 100 years, so they are quite well known, and they have very high standard of education at IBA. Netherlands. So in Netherlands, the application deadline is from May to August. Basically, if you want to apply for the halls of residence, your deadline would be around 15th of May. If you're not interested in halls of residence, then it'll be around 15th of August. It's an online application. You would need your grade report if you are still in school, obviously. You would need a personal statement, a reference letter, and IELTS or TOEFL. I also forgot to mention in the about Denmark, you would need a personal statement and a reference letter and a language test and a grade report as well. So very similar. And in both cases, like Netherlands and Denmark, you would need a language test. The guys like who are watching this and who are interested in masters, in Denmark, I did not cover any masters because we do not cooperate with any universities that either offer masters, or we do not cooperate with the master's programs in those universities. So I'm not covering that. In Netherlands, there are some masters, but like let's say the payment can be very different. There's no, let's say, concrete fee for masters in Netherlands. In a way there is, because if you do research studies, then there is a fee, but if you do more applied, which means more practical and obviously more useful, then the prices can vary a lot, and I would not say that it's the cheapest there. Okay, so the tuition fee for bachelors is 2,006 per year, euros. Sorry, I forgot to mention the currency, euros. You would study for 4 years, and you have like work experience from 5 to 10 months. In terms of payment of the fees, you can either pay it from your own pocket straight away, the whole amount every year, or you can pay in installments, which means the fee will be divided into parts. Or you can also apply for the student loan from Netherlands. But we'll get to that in a second, what I'm saying, but first of all, living costs. So to show you, so the students would spend around 800 to 1,200 euros per month, so living costs included. An average room is around 300 to 650. Average price of coffee is 200, apologies, 215. I do want to say that in both Netherlands and Denmark, you can't really find any scholarships for EU students, but in UK you can. So if you are not financially perhaps as stable, I do recommend looking in UK because there are a lot more options to finance yourself and get a job. Because Netherlands, again, is not an English country, so require you to know Dutch. So therefore, as I said, if you're financially struggling a bit, UK would be the best place for you. So I'm not sure why I can't see the loan section, but okay, I think we'll get to it pretty soon. So yeah, again, because this is not an English country, you cannot study everything in English. Here you have some of the subjects like classical music, international business and languages, media entertainment management, leisure management, that you can study in English. Same with masters, not all of the masters will be available in English, but a lot of them. Okay, so I see there's one slide missing for sure. Okay, so it's not in here. But yeah, about the loan, let's go to the amount. So they do have a loan, but before you apply for it, you do need to have a bank account in a Dutch bank. You would need to also be registered at the city hall, and you would need your letter like from the university stating that you're a student. But to get that letter, you actually need to pay the university. So you'd still have to pay the university upfront. So if you do it in installments, you would pay the first installment, and then you would get the loan for your bachelor studies. So it does work like that. It is a little bit inconvenient, but what can you do? Okay, so Fontix University of Applied Sciences, it's one of the biggest universities in Netherlands, and as previously I said, they have research universities and applied universities. So the research ones, they focus on research, and applied focuses on, well, actually teaching you something practically and from a practical aspect. You still have some, theory in there. So they have three campuses in Venlo, Idaho, and Tilburg. Venlo is actually a city next to Germany, so a lot of people live in Germany and they just like cycle or walk to Netherlands. There's quite a few subjects you could study there, but these four are just as an example. And you see food and flower management there, so here, and it's a very unique subject for Netherlands because you probably know that, well, Netherlands are famous for tulips. They're famous also for, their food, and a lot of foods come from the Netherlands. So yeah, again, 4 years for the studies there, 5 months placement, and you can see more or less the fee for their halls of residence. I do want to point out the halls of residence, if you're a bachelor student, they are only for like first year, so if you're in your second year, you will not get it. You'll have to go find a place to live, but the university can help you. And they do have separate for master students because master students are a little bit more older and they need to concentrate a little bit more on their studies. So yeah, I think I wanted to mention about the student loan. They do also have the student loan for masters there, but as I said, because the amount that the courses cost, the student loan might not completely cover it. So you would still have to pay a bit from your own pocket. But if you are interested in this loan, please get in touch with us and we will explain how it works, because it is a little bit easier if someone explains it in your native language than in English, because it is a tiny bit confusing, but it's very simple. It's just very Dutch. So here's Eindhoven, just to give you an idea how the city looks. Here's Venlo. And here's Tilburg. So as you can see, pretty nice, smallish towns, but very neat, very clean. People are friendly there. So yeah, most of the students who have applied with us and went there, they have been very happy, very satisfied, and they have nothing bad to say, even though these are not like Amsterdam or something. Okay, so now we're pretty much finishing. I will go to the end to show you our contact details and some facts about us, but I will have to skip through some slides because the next part is about my personal experience, and I don't think any of you want to sit for another like half an hour and listen to me talk about my experience. If you do want to know about it, just send us an email and I can do a one-on-one session with you telling you about my studies. So let's go. Pictures. Okay, so if you apply with us, you have a 100% chance of getting in because there are quite a few universities. I would say we actually, yes, we do. We, especially in Poland, we do have one of the biggest, let's say, networks of universities that we cooperate with, and you do have a 100% chance of getting into the universities we have previously cooperated with, or we have, people who we know there, but basically everyone gets in. We will find the course for you that you will want to study and you will like. So, you just have to come to us with requirements like, oh, I'm interested in, let's say, I don't know, parts and books, but I'm not sure what I want to do. So we would come up with some courses like creative writing and, maybe journalism, maybe something like that for you to kind of look at. It will be a stress-free application for you because we would do most of it. As I said before, we would be the middleman. We would kind of, if there's an issue, we would solve it and then we come back to you with the results already. And yeah, we pretty much do everything. We check everything for you. We remind you of everything. And I do want to stress out that everyone who has applied with us has gotten into university. And we have more than 10 years of experience. So we do know what we're doing. And as I said before, most of us have studied abroad. So the things we're sharing with you or recommending, it is coming from our own personal experience. Or for example, if we still have, friends studying in those countries, we know what they are telling us. So everything is kind of very personal with us. So yeah, here are the contact details. So if you're interested in a consultation, please do get in touch. Here is the email. You can visit our website. At the moment, we are making a new one, a more accessible one, and with more information because the one now it's a little bit outdated. And you can have a free Skype consultation with us, or if at any point you're in Warsaw, you can come to our office. But I'm pretty sure it will be faster and easier to just have a Skype consultation. So yeah, here's the email and our Twitter and our Facebook. I hope this was enough time for you to write it down. I hope you managed to get some answers that you needed. Or if you have questions, literally don't hesitate, just write an email to us straight away. We will get back to you with all the information. And remember, there are no stupid questions, so you can ask us anything. So thank you guys for viewing this, being part of this, and I hope you have a nice evening. So yeah, bye-bye. And let me just log out of this before I say bye-bye. Okay. So now, bye-bye.